Well, thank you very much indeed for joining us. And just before we start, could I just ask our audience to please turn on their translation devices? Thank you. President Kagame, may I start with you? With a new free trade agreement coming into force in July, what steps are you taking to maximize the benefits, especially for a landlocked nation? I'm going to ask you two questions, but I'll ask the first one first.
Yes. Well, first of all, as we heard even from the previous panel, the statistics were given, but let me say the story of African Continental Free Trade Agreement that was reached has become a reality. And that means political will also on the part of the leaders of the continent who came together previously with it was the president of Chad, it was the president of Guinea, Conde, who is on this panel, working with the rest of the continent leaders who put this in place. And this came supporting the effort and the quest for regional integration that we had always sought to achieve. So it has become a reality. And that means also that on our side, we have all along been investing in capacities to be able to trade and to attract investments. In fact, that's how Rwanda, in ease of doing business, the World Bank Index ranks Rwanda among the top countries where there is ease of doing business. We are number 2 in Africa. Last year, we were 29 in the whole world. So we are doing all that so that investments would be attracted, business across borders and beyond would also. And we've seen that with the Continental Free Trade Area, statistics show that intra-African trade is going to go up by up to 50%. So definitely this is a huge opportunity which Rwanda and other African countries have been prepared to benefit from as well as contribute to.
So good news ahead, hopefully. And what would you say your top priority is for encouraging investment into Rwanda?
Well, as I pointed to the ease of doing business, so first of all, we have had to predict or put ourselves in the shoes of an investor and what would they be looking for in order for people to invest in our country. First of all, they need rule of law, they need predictability, they need to see good governance, which tackles corruption, and so that so much money is not lost in the process of trying to register or acquire business. So we have ourselves focused on that as a priority, and that's why being ranked 29 in the world or second in Africa in the index of ease of doing business by the World Bank is not for nothing. It's because of those efforts exactly that have been put into it. The priority, therefore, has been that, and there are also areas, whether it is manufacturing, it's infrastructure, there is hundreds of millions of dollars airport coming up, which we want people to invest in. It's energy, it's agro business and processing, it's services sector that has been registering a huge growth in our economy. And we have also maintained the high growth. In fact, last year we registered over 8% growth. This year, meaning 2019, we may end up registering double-digit growth, and we are looking at the same thing this year, 2021.
That's a wonderful, wonderful achievement. I'd like to come to President Condé now. President, the private sector have a vital role to play in the success of the new agreement. Can you explain how you're working with the private sector to ensure that success? And I think President Condé is going to be speaking in French.
Oui, d'abord, pour nous, il était extrêmement important d'améliorer nos infrastructures, chemins de fer, ports et routes. Deuxièmement, la stabilité macroéconomique. Et surtout, nous avons créé, grâce à la coopération avec le président Kagame depuis 2011, nous avons créé l'Agence pour les investissements privés et le Conseil présidentiel et pour faciliter la coopération avec les entreprises privées et les plateformes. Ensuite, nous avons connu pendant 2 ans une croissance à 2 chiffres et en moyenne, nous avons une croissance entre 6 et 8%. Donc, pour tirer le maximum d'avantages de libre-échange, nous créons la chaîne de valeur, c'est-à-dire la transformation de toutes les matières premières agricoles comme miniers chez nous. C'est-à-dire la chaîne de valeur, par exemple, si je prends l'agriculture, c'est cultiver, transformer et transporter. La même chose pour nos mines, par exemple, la bauxite, transformée en alumine et en aluminium. Et aussi utiliser de nouvelles technologies pour améliorer, par exemple, on a créé le guichet unique du commerce et utiliser les nouvelles technologies pour mieux améliorer le fonctionnement de notre administration et casser la bureaucratie. Mais surtout créer un environnement favorable pour les investisseurs privés. Cela suppose donc qu'on ait des routes, qu'on ait l'énergie. Nous avons multiplié notre production d'énergie par 10. On était à 100 quand nous sommes arrivés. Aujourd'hui, on est à 1000 grâce à l'énergie mixte, parce que notre objectif, évidemment, c'est l'énergie renouvelable. Donc, nous avons l'ARI que je préside. Donc aujourd'hui, nous développons l'énergie hydraulique et l'énergie solaire, parce que pour que les entreprises puissent travailler, il faut qu'ils aient des routes, il faut qu'ils aient l'énergie. Ensuite, il faut qu'on facilite. Aujourd'hui, pour créer une société en Guinée, il faut 24 heures. Mais Kagame vient de me dire qu'au Rwanda, c'est 6 heures. Donc je vais faire mieux que lui, ça sera 5 heures.
Thank you very much, President. I wish my French was a little better, but I will work on it. But could you also tell us what your top priority is for improving Guinea's business environment?
Je pense qu'aujourd'hui, la priorité numéro 1 chez nous, c'est les infrastructures. Parce que nous avons fait beaucoup de progrès dans les autres secteurs. Nous avons créé un cadre de discussion entre les partenaires, entre le gouvernement et les privés. Nous avons dans la salle celui qui est chargé de l'APIP, l'Agence pour les investissements privés. Nous avons un ministre chargé des investissements privés. Nous avons le conseil présidentiel. Mais évidemment, il faut que nous avons aujourd'hui suffisamment d'hôtels. Il sait quand il est venu en 2011, quand ils sont venus, on n'avait pas beaucoup d'hôtels. Donc c'est vraiment créer des conditions les plus favorables. Ça veut dire que le développement de Blackbone, c'est-à-dire des nouvelles technologies, de l'amélioration du port, puisque nous allons avoir maintenant un port à eau profonde, et surtout la facilitation de l'impôt, parce qu'aujourd'hui nous utilisons les nouvelles technologies pour que les personnes puissent facilement, par exemple, avec le guichet unique aujourd'hui, toute la procédure de douane, d'investissement se fait en un seul. Vous pouvez rester chez vous et pouvoir dédouaner, savoir que votre marchandise a telle date, vous n'avez plus besoin d'aller à la douane, et seulement vous payez à la banque centrale. Donc, c'est créer toutes les conditions pour qu'on casse le maximum de bureaucratie dans nos pays. Parce que vous savez, un des problèmes que nous avons, c'est la lourdeur de l'administration.
Thank you very much indeed, President. President Mutharika, investment in Malawi is focused very much around agriculture. Do you think the new free trade agreement will help you to diversify?
So I'm having difficulty hearing you.
Would you like me to repeat that, President?
I'm sorry?
Would you like me to repeat that question?
Yes.
Investment and activity is based around agriculture very much in your country.
Yes.
And do you think the new free trade agreement will perhaps help you to diversify into different sectors, perhaps even higher value sectors?
Yes, in a way we have to. You're right that Malawi depends on agriculture. 90% of exports agriculture. 30% of foreign exchange from agriculture. We will diversify. 95% of our people are in rural areas and involved in subsistence farming. So what we need to do is commercialize agriculture. So last week, in fact, I launched a agricultural commercial project funded by the World Bank to the tune of $100 million. Out of this project, over close to 1 million people will be moved from subsistence farming to commercial farming. We also created a Malawi Investment Corporation, whose purpose is to, in fact, provide finance for people in rural areas. So we're doing that. But in addition to that, also we need to go into other areas, for example, mining. We need to go into mining. We have extensive minerals, bauxite, rare earth, all sorts of minerals. We need to go into that also. And we need to make arrangements to make sure that we get appropriate returns in terms of the kind of agreements we structure with foreign investors. We also have oil and gas, which we need to invest in. As you know, oil sometimes can be a curse. Therefore, we're extremely careful the way we structure agreements with the investors. So we need to move away, but going back to agriculture, what we need to do is, in fact, to add value in terms of the high yield crops, like soybeans, for example, pigeon peas, cowpeas, and others. There's a huge market for this in Europe, but also in Asia. We need to invest in that, so we're working on that through this cooperation to make sure that you have agriculture. Now, we're also engaged in a program of rural industrialization. 95% of our people live in rural areas, and therefore, we must give them possibilities in terms of financing and so forth for them to actually invest, engage in appropriate commercial agriculture, also provide markets for them, but also provide transportation infrastructure so they can export their products from the rural areas to the towns. We need to connect them with towns. At the moment, most of our farmers are small farmers. They have no associations, no cooperatives. Therefore, vendors come and pay them very, very low rates. So we're going to organize that, make sure that they're organized into farmers organizations, and that will give them more power, and therefore they'll be able to export effectively to the international community, to local markets, but also to the international community.
Thank you very much for that, President. And also, could you let us know what your top priority is for unlocking trade in Malawi?
Priority in what?
Unlocking trade in Malawi.
Locking what?
Use this, it might help.
I think maybe.
To create more trade and investment for your country. What's your number one priority?
In trade.
For boosting, in French or English?
To boost trade.
Boosting, getting more trade and investment.
Oh, I see, okay.
What's the number one way?
Yes, that's a very good question. First of all, I think this panel should be investment and trade, because the investment is more important than trade. Now, in a case like Malawi, for example, there is obviously the new African common market we can take advantage of. But for you to take advantage of the market, you must have something to sell. At the moment, there is very, very little production capacity, and therefore priority is, in fact, to bring industrialization in the rural areas. We must make sure that farmers are able to assist them with farm inputs, fertilizer, and other things, but also train them to farm properly in a more effective way. So that's our priority, industrialization in the rural area. We want to move development instead of from cities to rural areas. We want development to move from rural areas to the cities. So our program, we want in every rural community to have 7 elements. 1, there must be sufficient food. 2, there must be potable water. 3, there must be electricity. 4, there must be roads. 5, there must be a secondary school. 6, there must be a community technical college. If you can achieve that, and also a good health center, if you can achieve that, they'll be able to energize people in rural areas, make them more productive. Also, we have introduced community technical colleges. Since I took over power, we have established 28 technical community colleges in every constituency. Within 5 years, we'll have colleges in all the 103 constituencies. Now, in these colleges, people are going to train welding, carpentry, sewing, tailoring, and so on and so forth. In fact, a very interesting story. One day, my assistant came and said, Your Excellency, there are women at the gate there. A lot of them are coming there, and they're singing and so forth. So I said, my God, what have I done this time? So I went and met them, and they say that in these colleges, we don't have a curriculum for beauty technology. So we started also added beauty technology, essentially hairdressing and so forth, to empower women and so forth. So we're doing that. So that's pretty much what we do. We give them skills, resources, financing, infrastructure. If we can achieve that, I think we'll be able to industrialize and bring the rural communities out of poverty.
So much to do, President. You have a wonderful plan there. And now, coming to our Secretary of State, the Right Honourable Liz Truss. Secretary of State, you've heard about the great potential of this new continental free trade area. What support is the UK providing to African partners on this very important agenda?
Well, thank you very much, Helen, and it's fantastic to hear the commitment to free trade and also the scale of ambition from the panel here today. Of course, on the 31st of January, the UK leaves the European Union, and we will be able to negotiate our independent trade policy for the first time in 46 years. And this presents, I think, a large opportunity for the UK, but also an opportunity to deepen our relationships around the world. And it's our ambition to secure 80% of all of the UK's trade in free trade agreements, zero tariffs within 3 years. And of course, African nations represent a large opportunity to do that, a hugely growing part of the world with great ambition. And the UK also wants to play a strong role in the World Trade Organization when we take up our independent seat after the 31st of January. And of course, African nations form 25% of membership of the World Trade Organization, because I think it's very important that we all defend the rules-based system, that it shouldn't be about how big a nation is, it should be about making sure that everybody has a level playing field on which their enterprises and producers can compete. And I am very keen for the UK to work with like-minded countries across the African nations to defend that rules-based order and to make sure that we have free and fair trade across the world. Helen, you mentioned the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. This is a hugely exciting opportunity. It will create a market of up to $2.5 trillion. And of course, the UK is extremely keen to engage with those opportunities. As the President of Malawi has pointed out and the President of Guinea has pointed out, there is huge opportunity in particular to empower women. And only a few days ago, we hosted an event of African female entrepreneurs pitching to investors around the world. We know that 80% of cross-border trade out of Rwanda is by female entrepreneurs. We know that sub-Saharan Africa has the highest rate of female entrepreneurship in the world. So I see trade as a huge way of empowering women as well as bringing prosperity right across our nations. Now, as we leave the European Union, we want to strike new free trade agreements with customs unions, but also with individual African nations which go deeper than what we've had before, particularly in areas like digital and data. We can be more ambitious. We've seen huge moves in a positive direction from many African nations, and in fact, Malawi, Rwanda, and Guinea, who are all on this panel today, have indeed led the way in these developments. We've already agreed deals with 11 African countries, including the Southern African Customs Union, which I personally signed in October. and there's a further 7 deals in the pipeline. We've signed deals that cover 43% of our current trade with Africa, but I think there's further to do. And you asked me specifically, Helen, what are we doing to help those trading arrangements? First of all, we've got a new Trade Connect program worth 20 million, which will help firms make the most of preferential market access and boost exports into the UK. In Southern Africa, we're going to be providing 200 million over 7 years to help unblock barriers to trade by building crucial infrastructure such as border posts and roads. And today we're launching the Growth Gateway, which is a £37 million cross-government initiative that will provide a one-stop shop for HMG services for business trading and investing with Africa. The UK wants to be not just a partner of choice, but the partner of choice for Africa. We are one of the largest G7 investors in Africa, and given the unrivaled quality of our expertise in finance, infrastructure and fintech, we'll continue to capitalise on the opportunities that leaving the European Union provides. We will continue to find like-minded allies across Africa to build economic relationships that prioritise mutual prosperity and sustainability. I think everybody heard it in the speech that the Prime Minister made this morning. The UK is very much open for business. We're very much keen to dismantle the barriers that stop great companies in the UK, great companies across African nations from trading, because we know by removing those barriers, by expanding our trade, we benefit all of our citizens and we help grow our economy, and we're really committed to developing those relationships over the coming years. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much indeed for that. Well, I think it's been a really excellent session, and I would like to thank our heads of state and our Secretary of State. I must also thank all of our other panellists too, and of course our audience this morning for your contributions